Hello everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. Now today I'm doing part 2 of the My Monthly Hero 10 Cards 1 kit. This is the January 2018 card kit, and so we're just going to jump in with card number 6. This is the Valentine's Day themed kit, and I'm not sure if the kits had sold out or not, but if they didn't, I'll leave a link below to where you can check them out if you're interested. But we're going to start off by taking some of the pink pearl cardstock. I cut out a panel. The panel size is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4, and I'm placing that on a black panel. Now my black panel is 4 inches by 5 inches, and then I took the heart die that was in the kit, and I also cut out a white heart with that. Now you will need a shim plate. Well, I did anyway. To cut out these intricate dies, and so I would recommend a shim plate when using these dies because you can see how detailed they are. They're just gorgeous. So I just glued that down in the center of my pink cardstock, and then just to add a little bit of interest, I went through my stash, my 6x6 paper pads, and found a black and white striped pattern paper. So I'm just going to add a strip of this pattern paper to the right side of my panel here. I thought it'd be pretty to grab the ribbon that the stamp set came wrapped up with. I'm going to tie a bow right on top of that pattern paper. And I think the pink and the black and the white look so pretty together. So once we have that done, we're going to stamp our sentiment. Now the sentiment I chose for this one, the stamp set, you can build your own sentiment. So I chose Love You So Much. And I'm just placing all the sentiments needed for that on my acrylic block, and then using my VersaFine ink, I'm going to stamp it on a piece of white cardstock. Now in my stash, I have a sentiment die that it's from MFT. Love this die. In fact, I used it for most of my sentiments in part 2 here, but it has a stitched edging, and then it has fishtails on the end. So I'm just going to die cut that sentiment out with that. And there we have it. Now I'm going to flip that over, add some foam tape behind there. I was going to trim it down, then change my mind. I'm going to leave the fishtails on there. Just going to add some foam tape. And then that's going to go towards the top part of my heart. This card was super easy. And I think when you have such a beautiful element as a focal point, you don't really need too much. So that's basically my card. I'm just going to pop it up with some foam tape. Now this foam tape here I purchased at Target. It's 1 inch wide and it's Scotch 3M, and I love it. A little bit on the pricey side, but it's so worth it. I love Scotch. But that's card number 1. Very quick and easy. Now for card number 2, I'm taking, this is a pale pink. So I cut out a panel. Now for this panel, it's 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. Now I'm taking my T-square ruler here, and I am drawing 2 lines in the center of this panel, and I'm also going to mark the center on the top portion and then on the bottom portion. We're going to do some stamping using that corner stamp, and so this is going to help me keep everything straight. I'm just going to use my VersaFine ink here and grab that real pretty corner stamp here, and I'm going to stamp it 4 times. And I'm flipping it around and going to stamp it again, and I'm using the center lines as kind of my guide, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the top portion, and this creates a really pretty background. I really like this. And for me it was very easy to line up. I couldn't get it stamped right the first time, so to line it up again it was no problem. Now I'm going to go in with some clear embossing powder. This is from Nuvo. And I found that since this is a pearlescent kind of a cardstock, that it was easier for me to heat emboss with clear. Otherwise the ink would smear all over it. So once I have that heat set, melted, I erase my pencil marks, and then I have this cute little heart from my stash. I'm going to cut out a heart right in the center of this panel here. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to add some clear plastic on the back. We're going to create a shaker, kind of, sort of, This is Hero Arts acetate sheets, and I am loving these. They're die cuttable. Sometimes you can get a clear plastic film that's hard to die cut, but this one's really nice. Now I added some foam tape behind there, and then I'm going to fill the entire heart up with sequins. I don't really want to make a shaker. I kind of wanted to have that shimmery, multicolored background for that heart in the center. So I stuffed it pretty full. And then I added a piece of white cardstock behind it. Okay, now I'm just going to add some tape behind here. And then you can see I cut out another strip of that black and white pattern paper. I'm going to add that just so it's barely hanging over on this panel. It just, I think, adds a little bit more to the card. And then I'm going to place it on my white card base. Now all my card bases for these cards are 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch. They're standard A2 size card bases. Okay, and I think that looks so pretty. Now for the sentiment for this card, I'm going to use the love, the you, and the so much. I kind of created my own again, and I placed it on my block, and then using the red ink that came in the kit, I'm going to stamp my sentiment on a piece of white cardstock. This is red royal ink that came in the kit. It's real pretty red. And then I die cut that out with my sentiment die there and added it right in the center. Now I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer. I'm going to add 5 sequins just to kind of make it flow all nicely together. And that's it for card number 7. Okay, we're going to move along to card number 8. Now this is the purple shimmer paper that came in the kit. Now I had a wood grain stamp that I stamped on it, and then I used the pink embossing powder that came in the kit, and I didn't like that, and so I just set it aside. So we're going to work on our sentiment, and then we're going to fix what I didn't like about that. Now I'm taking the love stamp that came in the set, and then I'm using the purple ink that came in the kit. Now this is another Hero hue. This actually came in last year's May kit, and it's a real pretty dark purple. It's an amethyst, and so I'm going to use the second layer stamp with the darker purple ink. I'm just using my mini Misty and a piece of white cardstock for this, and I think that the light purple and dark purple just look so pretty together. Now I have this tag die from my stash. I cut out a tag with the sentiment love on it. Now I really didn't like that pink. When I pause for a long time, you guys can kind of tell. I don't like it. So now I decided just to flip this over. I'm using my anti-static powder tool, and again I'm grabbing my wood grain block. This is a wood grain block from Stampabilities, and I got it at Hobby Lobby. I love the wood grain effect, so I'm going to re-stamp it on the back using some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to go in with, this is some Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail White embossing powder. I'm just going to go over my wood grain with the white. And I think I'm just going to melt that embossing powder, and I like the white so much better against that purple versus the pink there. Okay, I'm going to take my paper trimmer and, oh, I did stamp the another part of the sentiment, and this one here says spread the, so my sentiment will say spread the love. And then here's where I trim down my tag. I'm just going to pop up this panel here, place it on my card base, kind of figure out my placement. And then I have some white and silver baker's twine. I thought that would be pretty to thread through my tag. So I'm just going to thread it through and then flip this over and add some foam tape behind here. And then I'm going to add that to my wood grain panel, more towards the top. No, yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to take the ends of my twine and tie a bow with them. And then I'm going to trim off my tails. I think purple and silver go so pretty together. I did pop up the rest of my sentiment. and placed it right on top of the love. Now I thought it needed a little bit more, so I went through my stash and I have this silver mirror paper, and I cut out a small heart with it. I'm just adding some foam tape behind it, and I'm going to place that on the bottom. And I think that just makes everything come together. Now for finishing touches, I'm going to go in with some Nouveau glitter drops. These are silver moon dust. And I added a few here and there, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to move along to card number 9. I'm going to cut out a panel that's 3.5 inches. Oops, nope, sorry. It's 2 3/4 inches by 4. And then I'm taking this real pretty die that came in the kit. And this heart here was actually from part 1. So I'm going to use that today. Now I'm taking my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive and placing some on some scratch paper. And then I'm just going to take my, I couldn't find my tweezers, so I'm going to messy up my hands. But I'm just going to add some glue to the back of my heart and place it on that black panel there. Lovely. Now I'm using my tape runner and adding some tape to the very top and bottom, and then I'm going to place those 2 die cut pieces that we cut out, and I'm placing them on the very top and very bottom, and I'm only showing half of them, and I think the effect that this gives is really pretty. It gives a little detail to the very top and very bottom, and I love the way that turned out. I'm going to add some foam tape behind this panel. And I'm going to pop it up and place it in the center of my card base here. This is a white card base. Okay, now for my sentiment, I chose Happy Valentine's Day. Now this one didn't come in the stamp set. I grabbed this one from my stash, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit, and I want a real pretty Valentine's Day card, and I thought this would go really good. So I just cut that out using that same sentiment die, and I did use my VersaFine ink for that. I'm going to add some foam tape behind my sentiment and place that in the center of my heart. Now I'm going to grab a few of the sequins that came in the kit and add some to the top left and to the bottom right here. And that's it for that card. Very simple and easy, but really pretty. I love the detail in that. Okay, now for card number 10, I'm going to take this corner stamp again, and then I did cut out a square. Now this square is a 3 by 3 inch square. I just used my square die to cut that out. And then I'm going to use my VersaFine or my Versamark ink and ink up all the corners using this stamped image. And I love the way this turns out, because when you do this on the 3 by 3 inch square, well, you'll see here when I add the embossing powder that came in the kit. I went ahead and melted that, but you can see it has a real pretty circle on the inside, and I love that, the way that turned out. So 3 by 3 inch squares are really nice. Okay, now I cut out a heart just using some pink cardstock from my stash. I ran out of the pink shimmer paper that we used in the kit. So this is just cardstock from my stash, and I added a heart right in the center. Now this is a 2 by 2 inch square piece of white cardstock. Now all I'm doing is folding in the bottom, the left, and the right, and I'm going to create a small little itty bitty envelope. Now if you have an envelope die, it would work perfect for this card, but I don't have one, so I'm kind of making my own little mini envelope here. I just glued it shut with my tape runner. And then we need a sentiment. Now for the sentiment for this card, I chose Sending Love, and I'm going to stamp that on some white cardstock using my VersaFine ink, and then I'm just going to cut that out. Now I did cut it out to where it was to the right, because I wanted the fishtails to be on the right side. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of tape behind the sentiment, and I'm just going to tuck it inside my envelope as if it's coming out. And then I'm going to add some foam tape behind my envelope and the sentiment and place that in the center of my heart there. Love that. Now I added some foam tape behind this panel, and I'm going to place that on my card base here. I'm going to lower it a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and add 5 hearts to my card. And that's it for that card. Very simple and easy, but I really like the way this turned out. And I had a lot of time left over, guys, so I made an extra bonus card. So this is card number 11 for you. Okay, now I cut out a frame using black cardstock. Okay, now I wanted to use this pattern paper and I didn't use it for the first card 6 through 10. So I cut out 2 of the whole flowers that were in it and a few of the leaves. And then I'm going to take my tape runner and add some glue behind my frame here. And then I'm going to just place my flowers and leaves on the bottom left corner here, kind of trailing towards the top. And I think that looks so pretty. Okay, now we're going to work on our sentiment, and I wanted to use the ampersand in the stamp set. Yes, I thank you for letting me know what that is. I always called it an and sign, but it's an ampersand, and I appreciate every one of you telling me that. I'll never forget this one. It actually is kind of a pretty word for a pretty stamp. Okay, I stamped it with some pale tomato ink, and that was from my stash. And then I'm going to take the second layer of the ampersand, and I am going to place it right on top. And then I'm going to go in with the red royal ink that came in the kit. Go over the top of that. And I found myself using these 2 colors for the pattern paper that came in the kit because it just went really well with it. So that's my and there. We're just going to remove that, and we're going to grab our frame and place that right over the top of it. And I'm just kind of arranging it to where I could fit the rest of my sentiment. Now I chose sending love and friendship for this card. And I just stamped the sending love on the top and the friendship on the bottom. Now I'm take my scissors and trim down the excess from my panel below or underneath it. And then I'm going to flip my frame. I'm going to pull my frame from my sentiment and pop it up with foam tape. This is going to give me some dimension behind those flowers and behind my frame. And I think it's going to look really pretty. I'm going to place my frame back on top of my sentiment panel, and I love the way that looks. Now I'm just going to trim off the top. I didn't center it very well, so we're just going to fussy cut that off. And then this is going to be a side folding card. I'm just going to use my tape runner and adhere some tape behind here and place that in the center of my card base here. Now for bells and whistles, I'm going to add a few sequins all around my panel there. And then to bring in some of that gold, I'm using some honey gold Nuvo glitter drops. And that's my bonus card, card number 11. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Here's a quick look at the 6 cards I made for part 2. If you missed part 1, I'll try and remember. Sometimes I forget, but I'll try and remember to leave it at the end of this video. I wish you a fantastic day, and I hope this gives you some ideas and inspiration. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.